Hey there, ComicCon fans. We know you love taking photos, and well, we do too. But just a reminder that you can only take photos for the first 5 minutes of this panel.
Is this on? Hello, Oz ComicCon 2019! Are you guys excited? I'm so sorry. I think you guys are still asleep. It is Oz ComicCon 2019. Yes! Are you guys excited? We have a great lineup these next 2 days. I mean, such incredible guests, such incredible shows represented. Anybody out there like Supernatural? Supernatural fans in the house? That's right. How about Lucifer? Any Lucifer fans? How about Shadowhunters? Welcome to the stage, Alberto, Rosende, and Dominic, Sherwood. Hey. You guys, Shadowhunters. We got to wake them up a little. It's the first panel of the convention. So they're still getting their bearings, but are you guys ready to talk to them? Yeah? So am I. So, okay, we're sitting here. Did you guys have any idea when the show was initially announced that it was going to be canceled that the fan base would have such a campaign and such a strong presence in pushing to get, an extended season or get more episodes or get it renewed?
Well, I looked at you. You looked.
Yes, Alberto, we'll start with you.
Yes. Well, we knew that everyone would be upset because we were upset.
Right.
It's never good to hear that the job that you had that you liked going to is no longer there. But the response, although it came in a way like, wow, I didn't know they do this. It's not surprising. This fan has always been so active, so global, so connected, and so awesome. Thank you. That yeah, it was an awesome thing to see.
And with it, you were gifted a 2-part series to wrap it up, which is something that some shows don't even get. So at least you guys had that. What were your feelings, Dom, when you saw how the show was going to culminate, and for Jace, how things were going to wrap up? Were you happy?
Yeah, yes. I think everyone was, and it's, as you say, sort of a borderline insurmountable task to wrap up 3 years worth of these very rich stories from not just the like massive group of sort of lead characters that we've followed their stories through, but then also wrap up the supporting characters as well throughout that. So to read it, I think we were all very pleasantly surprised, and that credit really goes to Todd and Darren and their writing team, because they did an absolutely amazing job, and Todd directed those last 2 episodes as well, and I think he did fantastically. So the credit really goes to them.
And I'm feeling optimistic about Jace and Clary in that last moment.
Based on the 3 seasons that you've seen, it's always wonderful for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more not based on necessarily the whole thing, but based on that last look, that is there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, am I right? Should I be hopeful?
The idea was to inspire hope in the future. That was the whole idea, and I think a lot of what this show has been, and hopefully will continue to be with the legacy that we leave behind, does inspire hope for people who maybe feel hopeless or feel lost or feel that they don't have anywhere to turn to. And I think the whole sort of thesis of the show, the summary of the show, is to inspire hope for people who feel hopeless.
I definitely agree. That's exactly what I got from the wrap up. So well done. Simon,
Thanks, man.
he seemed to come to terms for moving on without Clary.
Yes.
And I'm curious, was that sort of something, and actually also Simon seems to be one of the characters on the show that has grown the most from, your arc. So just talk a little bit about how you approach that and and how you let go.
Well, in the books, we see Simon go through this incredible journey where he kind of, like you said, he grows. And in the show, I wanted to make sure that that happened, and then with the writing that we got, they had that very much in mind as well. In terms of letting go of Clary, that fighting scene that was awesome to shoot with Dom, and then the scene after, it was such a cool thing to have something so physical and then something that was so raw for both of them. This person who they both care so much about, no longer allowed to see. I think Simon really saw it from the perspective of always trying to protect her, and that was an extension of that. We couldn't talk to her. We can't because they could make it worse. And I don't know what that is. They already took away her memories.
Right, what could get worse?
And I don't want to tempt that. So I think that's where that ability to move on wasn't really forgetting. It was more so keeping that idea that like she's still here, she's still alive, but we have to make sure that that stays that way. We have no idea what they could do.
So in a way, you're saying it wasn't so much a character choice, but a forced perspective for you.
Yeah.
Based on the circumstances.
I think the big thing with Simon is that he has always been selfless. Throughout the story, he has always been entirely selfless, and that is an amalgamation of exactly who he is and who he's always been throughout the stories. Comes in that final scene where Jace is being selfish. He absolutely is being selfish. He misses Clary, and he wants to be with her, whether that's just a physical closeness or just being able to see her. And Simon is the smarter of the two, right? In that situation, in that one moment. And it's not about necessarily looking after his friend, Jace, or looking after himself. It's about making sure that Clary is okay.
Yeah, and Simon's had to let go of so much. He had to let go of his mundane life. He had to let go of his family. He had to let go of Clary when they were romantically involved. So I think, not that he's had practice in that, but I guess he's had practice in that, yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, so
we used to have these up on set all the time as well.
Oh, yeah.
No, it said no more photos.
You brought up an interesting point, Alberto, about the books and your character's journey in the books versus the show. And I'm curious, were you guys, when you first were approached about Shadowhunters, were you familiar with the source material? Had you seen the movie from 2013? Like, what did you know sort of about the material
I'd
going in?
seen the movie, yeah. So I had like a sort of base level, and then I when I knew it was sort of becoming like a potentially real thing that I might get this job, we started reading the first book. And I've said this before, that for me, and Alberto and I are opposite sides of the same coin on this, for me it was really important that I read the first book and I understood what the world was and I understood who Jace was and what his place was in this world. But after that, it was important that I focused on our source material and not to, because otherwise it's like, what's my last name? Like, I don't know, like, which book are you? Like, I have not, like, I just don't know, like, where am I in the story? Is he my dad? Is he not my dad? Is she my sister? Like, because I feel like we just made out. That's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's too much going on. So for me, it was very important that I stuck to the script, and that made my story clear for me.
And I think that really makes sense for Jace's journey. You guys can still hear me, right? For Simon, there are so many moments where, my favorite moments were when you kind of go into his head and it's him kind of seeing the world from his perspective in the sense that, like, he'll be like, wow, look at Jace, this awesome guy, but he's, you go into like what he's thinking about, the way he sees things, and you see how that changes, you see how he grows in the books, and I wanted to include that. I found myself on set sometimes, like when the Shadowhunters were doing their thing, sitting in like the control room and being like, whoa, this feels like Star Wars. And like, because that's something that Simon he'd be like, I think he never forgets how cool it is that this world exists. But then he grows this healthy respect for how dangerous it is.
Well, and he maintains sort of like, exactly in a way like you telling that story, he maintains this sense of like innocence, even throughout it in this outside perspective.
Yeah, there's this one scene in Harry Potter where Daniel Radcliffe has that, he always has those moments where he like recognizes how cool it is to see magic.
Right.
And I wanted Simon to have those moments with this, because it is this fantastical world that if any of us were plopped into the middle of, we'd be probably like super scared, but super excited at the same time.
Yeah. absolutely. And Dom, you brought up another interesting point. When you read, first of all, if you weren't familiar with the show, it's so interesting what you're bringing up.
Thank
You
you.
would go to the Wikipedia page and you would be like, wait, this is so convoluted. There's so it's like the Matrix, so many layers.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get a script where you were like, wait, I'm not quite sure what's happening, or how did you, as artists, keep track of everything?
There was the beginning of season 3 with the whole, that was season 3. Yeah, with the owl thing. And I remember getting the script and being like, yo, this character's nuts. What the hell? And the showrunner leant over and went, that's you. And I was like, what?
Wait, what?
Whoa, that's crazy. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, now I see I'm going to have a lot more work on my plate this season, but yeah.
Well, it's also cool because the writers were always a resource in that sense to be like, hey, so what are we tracking here? We could always talk to them about anything, any questions we had. And they were always more than available to kind of help put it in a way that we could see it.
Yeah, that's good. So by and large, we kind of ask questions out on Twitter and social media about you guys. By and large, the biggest question is about that last fight in the final episode between you guys. And I want you to not just talk about, the overall training. It's not training you guys have to do for the show, which I imagine is pretty intense, but the filming of that scene and how it sort of exemplifies the relationship between Simon and Jace.
Yeah. It did, and it's something that's sort of been on its way for a lot of the seasons. As much as Jace likes to pretend that he really doesn't like Simon, the fact is he has a huge amount of respect for him. So this scene was always it was always coming. It was always on the way.
We were really excited to get it.
We were really excited to get there, and then Alberto did such an amazing job. Like, I was almost a little jealous of it. Because I was like, I've been training for like 3 years, and they gave us the most complicated fight that we'd had so far, and then he just picked it up like that, and I was like, what the? This is insane. Like, I'm out of breath, and he was just like, you want to go again? And I was like,
Like, in a minute.
yeah, let's go.
Well, it was that, like, Simon, he's like, yeah, I get to fight now, finally.
You totally saw that excitement from the character.
And it was great, and it was a lot of fun, and Darren, the stunt choreographer, gave us a lot of input. They allowed us to put in a lot of input, mostly because I still had a broken collarbone. So there was a lot that I couldn't do. Like, they were like, sort of, and then you block up here, and I was like, okay, whoop, nope.
Can't happen.
Not doing that one. And everything was fine until the backflip. And then and it sort of seemed like it put me in the harness, and I was like, it's pretty uncomfortable, but I'll be okay. And then I did the backflip, and what I sort of hadn't realized until I actually did the jump was the weight is in my groin, and then the second you go upside down, it's all on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. So if you watch closely, you can see me do the backflip, and halfway through I go, ah! And sort of land, and I'm like, we're done, right? We don't need to do that again. Then I know you got it, everything's fine.
It was
like,
perfect. It was a perfect backflip.
And he did all of that with a broken collarbone and broken knuckle. So
well, not all
really
of it.
Impressive.
I did the latter half of it with a broken knuckle, didn't I?
Yep. I broke his knuckle.
He did.
Tell us about that.
Well,
Alberto.
We really took the chance to have our fight scene, and we really ran with it. We were really excited about it. We trained both like in the studio with our stunt choreographers, and then we also went to what was the park? Okay, we went to this park in Toronto and like outside and had like an hour where we just kind of went through it. And then Dom was awesome in helping me with either things for camera or making sure certain movements were clear.
Right.
Because if he was training me, that would be the case. It wouldn't be we're just going to hit each other. It was like, no, we have to know your technique. So that was also a lot of fun. So on the day when we were doing it, I think was it coming over?
Yeah, it was that.
It was that moment where I come over and Dom does this. I can't do it. I'm gonna look weird. And and I felt it as soon as it happened. You're supposed to hit the stick, right? Well, I felt and it makes like a sound, and it sounds really cool. Really, it's like a really awesome sound. Yeah. But it sounded more like a. And I was like, huh, that was kind of dead. And I see Dom just drop a stick. And then he shows me his hand, and there's a purple balloon over one knuckle. It's still kind of purple.
It is, yeah. It's not, I mean, it's, yeah. I don't know if you can see it.
It doesn't fully go away.
Yeah.
I can see it right here. It looks kind of...
It's kind of gross.
And you know what?
Looks kind of like the owl hand.
What's even more annoying about this is it was my fault. It wasn't Alberto's fault. My hand was in the wrong place. So it was, as much as I want to be like, oh, you messed up. I almost said a swear word, but I think my mum's in the audience, and she like, she was here in Sydney, and she was like, "Don't swear. Whatever you do, don't swear." So, are you here, Mum? Say if you're here. There we go.
Yeah.
Was that your mom's voice?
That was not my mother's voice. I hope that wasn't my mother's voice. Otherwise, something's really wrong. So I'm trying really hard not to swear. But yeah, he got me, and it was the second it happened, and I was like, that was my fault too, which was even more irritating. That's because he was perfect the whole way through the fight. He was perfect. It was me who messed up.
Well, it's a testament to like how hard you guys worked and how much trust the stunt coordinator had with you two. To because that could have been his face and not his knuckle.
But also, like, I'll say it as much as I can. Also with Dom. Dom had an incredible work ethic with the show, with his fight scenes. He takes everything very seriously. I mean, for the first season, I didn't know, not that I didn't know, I heard his American accent more than his British accent, because when he's on set, he never speaks in his normal accent. So that's just like an extension of that. So I'm glad I got to have that work with you.
That's amazing. Oh, hug it out, guys. I love it. I hope someone took a picture of that, just one.
Someone?
I'm not going to try to do the sound, but the bop bop, in
boop,
the fight. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Who is that? Was that written in, or was that
So, no,
like,
that's
with the music?
thing that we have done, like, whilst working out for years and years and years, and there just happened to be a moment whilst we were training where I was like, boop, and we both, I think we were messing around in training when we did it and sort of did the thing, and we both went, oh, that's funny, we should do that. That's good, we like that, that's
so
fun.
great, yeah.
But we know that since it's not written in, we need to make sure that when we do it, it's the right time.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't going to take away from what the scene was really about. Like, it was this training scene that really Simon was there to kind of like, okay, after we do this, I need to lay it down. Like, you can't do this anymore. So it was, we didn't want to take away from the weight of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it was fantastic. I know you guys would love to ask questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand and someone with a mic will come around. We're going to bring the lights up just a little bit so we can see a little better. And while they're getting started, obviously everyone in here is super passionate about, Shadowhunters and you guys. What do you guys geek out about? What do you do in your free time? What do you love? What do you watch? What do you read?
Well, I have a book club.
I saw that, actually.
Any Rosende readers in here? Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the things. We play a lot of Mario Kart. I'm teaching Dom to get better. It's okay.
You got to teach him something, right?
Wow. Wow.
No, I think lately it's actually been very competitive. Dom's beat me many, many, many times.
Yeah, it's like ebbs and flows, doesn't it? Because you were like the champion for a long time.
It's only when he started copying my character.
I did. I stole his setup, and I was like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
Dom, anything? Hey, what are you watching?
No, it's all we do.
What movies do you love?
He plays Mario Kart. I win Mario Kart. That's the big difference between the two of us.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I have it in my hotel room. We'll do it later. What do I watch? I'm watching. Oh no, can't say that.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
I can't say that, unfortunately, but I have just sort of binge watched 3 seasons of a show because of reasons that I'm not allowed to talk about. But I've done that, and then
I'm reading between the lines, and I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Something's coming up.
Something is coming up, and I can say that something's coming up, but I just can't say what it is yet.
Okay.
Which is dreadful, and I wish that I could. But it is. I think the last show that I watched was Chernobyl, which was like absolutely amazing.
Phenomenal.
It was some of the most incredible TV I've ever seen, but it's really dark and really quite harrowing to watch. So I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for.
It's okay.
That or Game of Thrones, whatever. Like, no, panic, appease the audience.
All right, we'll take our first question right over here. Hi.
Hi, my question's for Dom.
Yeah, damn right it is. I swear, honestly, the last time I was here, Matt got the first question. If it was going to be Alberto, I was going to walk the fuck out. Ooh!
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry. So sorry. Oh, I see you now because you're doing this. What's your question?
I just wanted to know how you felt about being the worst of the 2.5 Jonathans on the show.
Worst meaning like baddest?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Like you killed the most people?
The worst being like the baddest,
Yeah,
like the.
I don't know. I'm going to answer it the way that I want to.
And I think you should.
Yeah. Good. I don't know. I think it was a really fun dynamic to play with those three because Will did such an amazing job as Jonathan and Sebastian, and then we changed the dynamic entirely with Luke when Luke stepped on and sort of changed the character and what his motivations were. So it was an interesting dynamic when we started to work with the three of us because I know Luke spoke to to Will as well, and I spoke to Will about some stuff too. So it was an interesting dynamic to put sort of the three of those together and develop that relationship. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my question is for both of you. What was your favorite line to say in the show or like part to play?
Favorite line or maybe scene? Is that what you mean? Scene or moment?
That fight scene
The
was
fight
one,
scene,
yeah,
I
some of
would
the
have
most
to
fun that
agree.
I've ever had on the show. Really, it was really great. I mean, so can I answer? Can I say my favorite Simon one?
Yeah.
So my favorite thing that I've ever seen Alberto do was the scene where he had to tell his mother that Simon had died, and it was like some of the most beautiful acting I've ever seen from both you and Christina. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, that was my round of applause. Absolutely.
Good question.
Say something nice about me. That's the only reason I said it. Say something good about me.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
Just give it a second.
Yeah, come back to us, you.
No, I mean, I think one of the coolest things about our show is we got to work with a lot of really cool people. You right there, bud?
It's because of his knuckle he did that, you know. Can we get a napkin up here?
Woo! So back to what I was saying. No, we got to work with some really cool people that were on the show for periods of time. Pasha, the guy who played Kane. I thought, how did you guys feel about Kane? That whole character that we didn't really ever see that we got to do in the show. I thought he was awesome, great actor, fun person to work with. I mean, I finally got to work with Nicola.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Working with Nicola, working with Tessa, working with
Yeah.
David, working with all of the characters that aren't on set as often. Like every time we got to work with them, it was always like a really fun thing. And then the moments I loved being in when Simon was in like the Shadowhunters thing and he wasn't really supposed to be there. Anytime, that was always fun. Because you and Matt always were able to kind of like.
Like you make me laugh a lot as well. Like it's in the blooper reel because like you play that character so well that just doesn't belong in that world. Like in our room, we're so like, what is he doing here? And then he says things. It's like, oh wait, why? And I'm like, that's so funny.
I mean, it seems like you all truly got along, you know, and that's part of what
No,
made
that's acting.
the show work. Yeah. Well, to be determined. Our next question. Okay, hi.
Hi, I was just wondering, like when you in season 3, you all got linked to a certain person. So, what would your superpower be? Like, who would you want to be linked with?
Not Melion.
If I weren't a vampire, I think vampires would be cool to be linked to. Immortality, super speed, super strength, you're awesome. Vampires are pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I want to say something else as well, but I agree. I think vampires probably.
All right, 2 vampires. Thank you so much. Next question. Hi.
Hey guys, hope you're going well. Alberto, obviously you love books and you've been in 2 book to TV.
Where's this coming from?
It's
We
right
hear
up-
it from.
I'm wearing
Oh,
like a
hi,
jacket.
there you go. Sorry, because we hear it from right here, and I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think this person's in this box right here.
that right.
It's very
Not at the
unlikely.
moment.
Hello.
No, back here.
Hi.
Hello, from all the way in the back. So obviously with the book adaptations, is there any characters that already exist that you guys would love to play at some point in the future?
Oh, in the book world.
That weren't brought to the screen this first time around or second time around.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Right. From any book?
Well, what are your suggestions? Do you have some that you love that you haven't seen yet?
I've got a lot of books I love.
Right.
You don't ask the book nerd what she loves, okay?
Yeah.
I'll give you a mile-long list.
The one I was quite excited about recently, which I ended up not getting, was Harden from the After series. So I was quite excited about, but I didn't get it. So, I almost swore again. Not this time. Not this time.
I really like Kurt Vonnegut, and I like his books. I think Kilgore Trout. We haven't really seen him in a movie yet. And he's this older writer who, at the end of his life, gains this incredible fame for being this really cool science fiction writer, but most of his novels were published in the backs of, erotic magazines, and at the end, just to kind of fill the magazine up. And I think his movie. I think if someone ever made that movie, it'd be pretty cool. I need to be a lot older, but Kilgore Trout would be a fun. Or the guy that plays like God in that book, which is like Kurt Vonnegut, but he has sunglasses and he.
You want to play God? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. He wants to move on from a vampire.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jess.
Yeah, stand up. Take your stage. Why not?
If you could add any scene to any like episode, what would it be?
Any
Add a
scene to any episode.
You know, I wish that there was one scene where Jace, Jordan, and Simon were hanging out, and like
Yeah.
maybe Simon and Jordan were like teaching Jace how to play video games.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have been,
really
been like,
fun.
why can't I just kill them for real? And you're like, no, it's a
No,
video
because it's
game.
fake. It's
Yeah.
like this is all pretend. I don't get it. I don't like
And
it.
then Simon would like kick his ass in video. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Kick his ass. Sorry.
She's not your mum.
I know. I just feel bad now.
Thank you. All right. Next question is right over here. Hi.
Hi, I'm an embarrassing mum, and my daughter is just so embarrassed that I put my hand up.
Okay.
Because I'm a Shadowhunters diehard with my daughter.
Lovely.
Awesome.
So, Dom, love Vampire Academy.
Mm.
This is another of the same.
Thank you very much.
I'm a mum who watches that stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
This genre, is this going to continue? Because you seem to be in this genre.
Yeah.
And one more thing. We've travelled a long way. My daughter's 18. This is all she got for her 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Laura, please.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Laura.
She
Happy
loves
birthday,
you too.
Laura. Yeah. You,
A single mum.
Move this way.
It's Laura, right? Laura, you know all your birthdays are going to be downhill from here on out. It's over. Happy 18th. Okay, what was your question? Now I forget.
Sorry. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Happy
Oh
birthday.
yes. Is the genre going to continue?
Oh.
No. My next role is very different.
Well,
Very different.
let's rephrase that question just a little bit and say, what is it about working in science fiction or genre material that's kind of freeing as an actor?
You know what it is? It's exactly that. It is. There's a freedom to it. There's a freedom to it that's a world that sort of in theory doesn't exist. So you have the freedom to develop your own stamp on this world, and you can portray it whichever way you like.
and a lot of the stories we heard as kids were all fantasy, and you know, some of the first things I remember doing on the playground was like being a Jedi, you know, or playing like a monster. I remember I'm having like a weird memory of like my dad pretending to be a vampire when I was a kid, like chasing my brother and me around the house.
No, that's the best image I've ever thought of in my entire life. Because I'm picturing your father as well doing it. This very stern military man, just like, I'm coming to get you.
But yeah, I feel there's something in that like I feel like as kids, that's what kind of gets us into stories or these fantasies before we start getting into ones that are more grounded in reality.
Absolutely. You've made a couple Star Wars references.
Yep.
Big Star Wars fan. Who would you like to, if there were a character available, who would you like to play? Or how could you see yourself inserting yourself into that universe?
I would love to play Yoda.
I would play Obi-Wan, like a young Obi-Wan.
young
If that
Obi-Wan.
would be like going through his training, like pre-meeting Qui-Gon.
Put it out there.
That would
like
be
a
amazing.
Jedi Academy where you go into like the training of being.
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing.
That'd be
Someone
really
write
cool.
Yeah.
Someone write that and then put us in it.
Put us in it. If you write it and
Thanks so
don't put
much.
us in it, that's not cool.
Yeah, you're
You
not
sold
welcome
an
here
idea.
again.
Then you took the idea. All right, next question. Where are you? Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
If you had to pick a girl character out of Shadowhunters, who would it be?
To be
Yeah.
Maris. I think, but like later on Maris, not like early Maris where she was kind of a bitch.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mum. The later on, very accepting of the world, who's realised that her perceptions of the world were entirely
I
incorrect.
feel like you'd want to play
merits.
that turn too. You'd want to play
To
that.
play that
yeah.
turn, absolutely, as an actor. But like, if I had to like be someone for my life, I would be that later on version of Maris for sure.
I think I'd want to be a warlock, so maybe like Katarina. Like it'd be cool to be a warlock, and then
Yeah.
she heals people. Like
Yeah.
there's like a whole.
Warlock nurse.
Yeah,
Do you think she
there's-
went through nurses school, or she's just like,
I just get this.
fixed?
I feel like there's a graphic novel waiting to happen about
Yeah.
Katarina Losses. Like,
She's like aced all of her med schools, and they're like, something wrong like with her. She's like, okay, I'll get a B. Like, I'll mess one up.
I
but
can't get A's all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next question.
Hi.
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 Hello.
What are you guys going to miss the most about filming Shadowhunters?
Well, I mean, I would
You're
say
looking for an answer more specific than the money, I suppose.
we towards no, like seeing everyone, like the crew. We got really close to that crew. I
We
mean,
did,
working with
yeah.
those stunt with Darren and like that whole stunt crew was awesome. I mean, that whole world, that part of it, actually showing up to work every day and being excited to be there. That's something I'll miss because I don't know how many jobs will be like that. Hopefully, all of them, but you know that's not how it always works out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Thank you. Where's our next question?
Hi.
Up here. Hi.
Hi. Obviously a big fan. So not all, not all the characters from the books were in the show. So I was wondering if you could have brought any other character from the book, or would have liked to have seen in the show. Who would it have been?
That's a you question.
That is a me
question.
Simon's friends, his mundane friends, like his band. I wish that would have been a world to I mean, you know, we have to do what we have to do, so there's not a lot of time to really get to expand that because the story is, you know, very much driving forward. But to see, I always say Simon's mundane life would be cool. Like just his two buddies. Like I know that Clary, or maybe Clary was his only friend, but yeah. So that
That would be cool,
more
though,
friends.
to see like that other side. So I did see when you started your book club. Is it still going? Are you
Yes,
still?
yes,
Okay, so how do people like find out about what the club is reading at the moment? Is it all on Twitter?
Yeah, it's all on Instagram. It's called Rosende Reads. We try to do a book a month. Sometimes scheduling gets weird, or we have to like skip a week. But essentially, we do like 100 pages a week. And then on Sundays, generally, it's up to like Instagram. And then also like I'll put it up on like my story and be like, hey guys, so we're meeting. Our next meeting is June 16th. We're reading The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, and we're reading up to like I think page 186 or the 4th section. So I'll post about that, and then people will read, and then on the Instagram Live we have a conversation. Well, I always do like first word thoughts of the book, and then we go into other things. And the cool thing is we have such an array from, like we have such a, it's global, and we have people that are maybe 15 or younger reading along and getting like introduced to literature, and then we have people that are older that are maybe teachers or parents that know that they haven't been reading as much as they want, so this helps keep them accountable as it does for me. So
And I like that you break it into like doable sections. You're
Yeah.
not just like read the book and I'll see you in 30 days. You know what I mean?
Once a week is good because it
Yeah.
also you can miss a week and then come back and then
And
be like,
100 pages is doable.
yeah,
in-
20 pages a day
yeah.
if you read Monday through Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm going to join your book club. You guys should too. All right.
Yeah.
Next
Agreed.
question. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is, if you guys came with a warning label, what would it say? Like mine's like warning, clumsy. Like what would yours say?
Doms would say the same.
Yeah.
What would mine say?
Or like warning, offensive, like foul language. Foul language will come from this one. Drinking will happen, like for sure. What would yours say?
What would mine say?
Warning, talker.
Yes.
I like that question. Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
You. All right, over here. Hi. Hi. Yes.
Hi. So, if you could change anything in the show, what would you change?
Maybe that it ended?
I was going to say, I'd push the ending like 2 or 3 seasons forward. That'd be great. If I could change anything, I don't know. I don't know that I would, honestly. I had such a wonderful experience, and there were pitfalls, but there is no light without shade. And I think the fact that there were days that I struggled with, or lines that I struggled with, or storylines that I wasn't particularly happy with, very much in the minority, made the fact that when I found something that I really connected with, whether it was my story or someone else's story, it made it that much more profound and that much more important to me. So I don't think I would change anything. Bless you.
Same? You agree?
I concur.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next question. Hi. Up here.
Hi. I asked Kat this when she came to ComicCon last year. So I was wondering if you could pick a song to lip sync battle for, what song would you pick?
If you could pick a song, what?
To do lip sync battle for.
Oh,
lip sync battle.
Ooh. Like lip sync battle. Like.
Yeah, no, I know what it is.
Ooh. You guys may have to think about this and answer on
that's a
Twitter.
tricky one.
What would you do? Shout it out. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be something by like, I don't know. I don't know why right away my mind goes to like the Bee Gees or like Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, the Bee Gees would be good.
Fun.
That would be
Stand
good.
Alive by the Bee Gees.
Good wardrobe.
Locked it in.
Yeah. Good costume. Thank you. Great question.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
This is for Alberto.
Yes.
How does it...
Yes.
I think this will make you a bit more angry, Dom. How does it feel to have successfully played the greatest character in the show and book?
Take a moment. It's your moment. It's your moment to shine.
Next question.
Well, I really don't know how to. Thank you. That's very sweet. No, really, one of the biggest, not fears, but no, I guess there's a better word for it. I just can't think of it right now because it's not a fear, but it was an anxiety maybe, or when we got this job was that will I do the job that they'll accept? Like, will I be this character that already has been seen in a movie and has been read by millions in book form, so everyone has an individual idea of what Simon should look like, sound like, make jokes about, all of these things. Will I be able to do that justice? At least justice. If do it well, I don't know. At least enough that they're like, oh, it doesn't bother me. So hearing that is very nice because it means that we succeeded in the mission of doing at least enough. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yes. All right, we have time for 2 more questions, so we're going to take this question right here. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. My question is, if you could cross over with any other show, what would it be?
Ooh, Shadowhunters and...
Yeah, not Chernobyl, for sure. This ironically was one of our sets, season 1. Everyone seemed to be doing really well in Chernobyl, and then I watched the show and I was like, I don't think any of this would have happened.
So I'm thinking Shadowhunters set in New York.
Shadowhunters was set in New York, though, just to be clear. That is where we set our
No, I'm
show.
saying like set in New York. What other shows are set in New York? Pretty much like the Marvel TV cinematic universe.
Ooh, yeah.
So it'd be cool if like the Shadowhunters run into like the Punisher and Daredevil.
Like Daredevil,
Can you imagine,
yeah.
like, if we ended up in that first Avengers movie, we sort of turned up with, like, our tiny swords, and we're like, oh, Captain America, oh, look, Iron Man. Wow, we're really no use here at all.
That's Spider-Man, that's Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're doing, like, we'd, like, be in the shawarma place, but, like, right at the back, just, like, a wall to order when they're done.
But
They
you guys
really
are like,
saved the
you
day
guys are
here.
like glamored, so when stuff goes down, no one knows. You're like, oh my God, someone just
Whoa,
blew up.
that was, wow, that was crazy.
Now I'm like obsessed with that crossover.
With the
by the way.
idea, we were there the whole time in the Avengers. We were just glamored.
You're the Easter egg.
Yeah,
Nobody's
the whole
found
time.
you. Yeah. Great question. Thank you. And our last question right over here. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
I was wondering, what was your first impression on each other when you first met?
Oh.
Ooh. So it's not. You were in a very different place than I was when. So when we first met, I'd been cast already, and I was coming in to read with the last group of potential Claries. And I remember I walked in, and there were 3 guys who were obviously testing to play Simon. There were 2 guys sat next to each other wearing glasses, and one not wearing glasses. And I was like, well, it's not going to be him, because that's just stupid. And there were 2 guys sat on the sofa wearing glasses, and I looked at them both, and I went, that's going to be Simon, and that was Alberto. And yeah.
So you told it the other way yesterday, where you were like, yeah, and they didn't pick the guy. It ended up being
Alberto, whatever. And that was it. And then we both ended up in Toronto together first before anyone else. And I think the first thing we did, we went to that steak place up on Queen.
Ravioli.
And we sat and we had like a beer and a steak, and we spoke about everything, and sort of had this weird like anticipation that, like, wow, this person's going to be in my life forever, I think. Like, I think this is going to be one of my friends forever.
Actually, so I did some...
Yeah, actually.
No, but like on that note, I actually did like journaling for like the first few weeks of Shadowhunters, like when it was, because I always wanted to like be able to read back and be like, oh, that's how I was really feeling. And I met Dom, like you said, at the audition, but I just remember talking to my mom and being like, yeah, I met Dom, cool, blah, blah, and she goes, he's English, right? I'm like, no, I think he's American. She's like, really? I've looked it up, because my mom is like an amazing researcher. And she's like, I'm pretty sure he's English. She's like, Mom, I met him. He's American. But then on that, after our first like hangout, we had steak and beer. I wrote, I was like, I think Dom is actually going to be one of my lifelong friends. And I actually have that like written down. I saw it in one of my journals. Yeah.
You guys,
really sweet. Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to end this
That's it.
panel.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. One more big round of applause, Alberto Rosende and Dominic Sherwood.